And welcome back. It's been almost a week since voters in Shelby County and across Tennessee went to the polls to decide on the future of local leadership. And after a strong start to early voting, Shelby County turnout fell off considerably on Election Day despite the recent redistricting. Here to help us unpack those results and what they could tell us about voters in the Memphis area and beyond is Dr. Earl Fisher. He's senior pastor at Abyssinian Baptist Church and professor and dean of chapel at Lemoyne Owen College. Dr. Fisher, welcome back to 3 at 3. Good to see you.
Glad to be back, man.
Man, you have been busy on national TV, Washington Post, Tennessee Lookout. Man, what haven't you been doing?
I'm working like a slave and getting paid like I'm less than one. But I'm always glad to be with you, man. No place like being here.
Let's talk about it. Did we see the sleeping giant awake on election night? What did we see?
I think we're peaking. I'm not sure we're fully woke yet. And the next few weeks are going to really be pivotal and critical as you start talking about what it's going to take for us to get adequate representation across the state and really across the country. And so I'm trying to do what I can. I'm not pulling any punches. I know that it is an uphill battle and fight. And so I want to be on my post to make sure that people who need to be a part of this process have adequate access to it, and that the people who are in positions of power and authority leverage that power and authority in ways to help people with representation.
So talk to me about the Justin J. Pearson race especially. What do we need to see and hear from him going forward? And does he also need the support of London Lamar and Congressman Steve Cohen? How do you see all of this coming together?
I think we are at a point where people need to have the maximum level of political, spiritual, and emotional maturity. And I mean, somebody's going to have to be the adult in the room. I'm not saying that Pearson cannot win without support from Senator Lamar or Congressman Cohen, but I am saying when you need all hands on deck, you need all hands on deck. And I think if the shoe was on the other foot, that you would have had Representative Pearson support whoever the candidate is. I got nothing but love for Senator Lamar. When she said that the state of Tennessee was racist and people came after her, I stood up for her. And if it happened again tomorrow, I'd do it again tomorrow. I got nothing but respect for Cohen and his legacy. I think both of them can help the broader public have more confidence in what it means for us to be a true democratic society if they step up. And hopefully Pearson will continue to push like he's been pushing and represent like he's been representing, because he's been all over the place. And I think we got to pull in as many people as possible to undo this racist redistricting that put us in this position.
But right now, Dr. Fisher, we're talking about Pearson versus Brent Taylor. How does that play out right there? Because some might say this is going to be an uphill battle for sure for Pearson.
Anybody reading the numbers would have to admit that and acknowledge that. But there's also some interesting developments from the last election.
Talk to me.
So Pearson won 19,000 votes in Shelby County. Brent Taylor won 3,000. And in places like Giles County, where Pulaski, Tennessee is, I think Brent Taylor had like 2,000 votes, and then Representative Pearson had like 800, 900. So there's some margins to be made up in some places, and it's still hard to really get a read on it because you don't know how many people might have wanted to vote Republican for a governor, but also for Pearson as well, which would not have been able to do that because this was the partisan state and federal primary election. So it's hard to tell, but I know if people don't get out there and knock doors and make phone calls and host forums and stuff like that, I know if Taylor is not willing to debate Pearson on the merits, then I think that says a lot about what representation should look like.
What could that debate potentially look like if it does happen?
I would hope that it would draw distinct differences in policy, not personality, but in policy on where Pearson stands and where Taylor stands. And I think in terms of health care, in terms of education, in terms of public safety, in terms of affordability, they seem to have two starkly different visions of what we need in Memphis and across District 9.
But are those two distinct visions going to energize voters, Memphis voters, Shelby County voters, voters in this new district?
I think personalities can ignite turnout to some degree. But as I talked about on the Rachel Maddow show, we've talked about this before, Where the rubber meets the road is if people in communities are going to engage people with adequate education, adequate information, and adequate opportunity. And if we do that, then I think those are the things when you target low turnout areas, low turnout precincts, when you have churches involved who are willing to do some canvassing and some community organizing initiatives, I think that's where you see the increase in turnout, not just on the back of a particular political personality.
Before we run out of time, I do have to get your thoughts on the new mayor-elect for the county and the sheriff-elect. What are your hopes there? What do you see in those two men?
Well, you know, Mayor-elect Lowry is a Lemoyne College alum, so, you know, a little bit partial to my brother there, and got nothing but, you know, appreciation for Buckner. Both of them have some heavy jobs. They need to be maximizing their accountability and their transparency. I'm going to be doing all I can to hold them accountable to that. They got an uphill battle if you start looking at 201, if you start looking at the budget and stuff like that. And so there's definitely no rest for the weary. They need to hit the ground running. But if they don't communicate clearly and concisely and consistently with the community, then I think that they'll end up with some pushback that'll be righteous pushback.
Because can there be a better report, unlike what we saw with Lee Harris and Floyd Bonner?
You know, not to go too much into the divine nine of it all, or what is it that Cohen called it, the heavenly seven, or whatever that is. But I think with Lowry being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, I think Buckner is a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Both of them have an opportunity for a clean slate here. I would like to think that they would be adults about their position. And so I'm just going to do my job to hold them accountable. I have to sit and watch for a minute to see how it's playing out before I figure out the most strategic way to engage them.
Dr. Fisher, always good to have you back.
Likewise, brother. Appreciate it, Alex.
We'll do it again.